The other thing that we have done is we have told countries that if you are buying Iranian oil, that if Iranian money is sitting in your banks, we are now willing to apply secondary sanctions, which is a very stern measure, and the Iranians should know that this is going to be the financial equivalent of what we saw in the kinetic activities. Iran used to be the largest state sponsor of terrorism. China was purchasing more than 90% of their oil, which is about 8% of China's energy needs. We believe this blockade in the Straits, there will be a pause of Chinese buying, but I will tell you that two Chinese banks received letters from the U.S. Treasury. I'm not going to identify the banks, but we told them that if we can prove that there is Iranian money flowing through your accounts, then we are willing to put on secondary sanctions.
Are you considering any more sanctions relief, Mr. Secretary, for countries that are suffering right now in order to get more oil to your allies?
We will not be renewing the general license on Russian oil, and we will not be renewing the general license on Iranian oil.
Therefore, now that the war has taken place, the negotiation that follows should be one in which the rights and interests of the Iranian nation are acknowledged. If Iran's rights and interests, which are the legal rights of a nation, are recognized and its dignity respected, naturally the negotiation can be fruitful. But if it continues, as it usually does, relying on deception and in fact on a lack of commitment and failure to adhere to agreements and set terms, then it naturally cannot succeed.
Yes, so I saw some reporting, again, bad reporting this morning, that we had formally requested an extension of the ceasefire. That is not true at this moment. We've remained very much engaged in these negotiations, in these talks. You heard from the Vice President directly and the President this week that these conversations are productive and ongoing, and that's where we are right now. I've also seen some reporting about the potentiality for in-person discussions again. Those discussions are being had, but nothing is official until you hear it from us here at the White House. But we feel good about the prospects of a deal. The President mentioned that in his interview yesterday, and it's obviously in the best interest of Iran to meet the President's demands. I think he's made his red lines in these negotiations very clear to the other side, and so we are continuing to see how these conversations go.
Would those talks be in Islamabad, or where would they be the next round?
They would very likely be in the same place as they were last time, yes. With the same, I would just want to make one point that's important to the President. The Pakistanis have been incredible mediators throughout this process, and we really appreciate their friendship and their efforts to bring this deal to a close.
So it was a special blessing for me personally to return once again to Annaba yesterday, but also to offer to the church and the world a vision that St. Augustine offers us in terms of that search for God and the struggle to build community, to seek for unity among all peoples and respect for all peoples in spite of the differences. So in 2 days in Algeria, I think we've really had a wonderful opportunity to, if you will, continue to build bridges, to promote dialogue. I think the visit to the mosque was significant, to say that although we have different beliefs, we have different ways of worshiping, we have different ways of living, we can live together in peace. And so I think that to promote that kind of image is something which the world needs to hear today, and that together we can continue to offer in our witness as we continue on this apostolic voyage.
Most of our customers are going to feel the pinch of the increase of the price, and we are urging the government to think about refining our crude oil in Kenya.
Bacım gibiydi yenge. Bacım gibiydi. Şöyle gidelim. Şöyle.
A fire at the largest of Australia's 2 oil refineries is hitting petrol production. This comes as the country faces mounting pressure to strengthen fuel security amid global supply disruptions linked to the Iran war. Fire Rescue Victoria's Assistant Chief Fire Officer Mick McGuinness gave an update.
Yes, at approximately 11:15 p.m. last night, a fire broke out here at the Viva oil refinery plant in Corio. The fire started in what's called the Mogas plant, which is a section of the refinery that assists with the production of high-octane fuels. There's been a significant leak of liquid hydrocarbons and gases that have fueled the fire.
Emergency crews say the fire has burned through the night, though it has been contained to a limited area of the site. No injuries have been reported. Authorities say there is no threat to the public, though smoke may affect nearby areas and traffic restrictions remain in place. The fire comes as Prime Minister Anthony Albanese travels through Southeast Asia to shore up fuel security amid tensions in the Middle East. The refinery processes about 120,000 barrels a day. It supplies more than half of the fuel needs of Australia's second most populous state and around 10% of national demand. Energy Minister Chris Bowen says petrol production could be affected for some time, though the full impact isn't clear yet.
Obviously, the fire's still burning, so we can't make any final conclusions about the impact. It's not a positive development. It will have an impact, but at this point, production of diesel and jet fuel does continue, and no reason to believe at this point that there's need to stop that. The impact on petrol production, I'm sure petrol production will continue, but it may be impacted for some time, obviously.
Viva Energy CEO Scott Wyatt told reporters the primary focus was to completely put out the fire that hit operations at 2 units at the refinery before assessing damage at the site and safely restoring production. Viva shares were on a trading halt, pending an update on the impact of the fire.
French group Hermès led a slump in luxury shares on Wednesday. It's after weak sales showed the war in Iran was weighing on demand in the Middle East and tourism in Europe. It deals a fresh blow to hopes of a revival for the sector. Shares in the Birkin bag maker sank as much as 14% in early trade. The widespread impact of the conflict has been felt from Dubai mall sales to soaring energy prices hitting consumer confidence. Shares in Gucci owner Kering fell more than 9% on Wednesday. It followed Louis Vuitton owner LVMH, which also said on Monday it had suffered a sharp slowdown in the Middle East. Hermès carefully controls production and sales to maintain exclusivity. It had been the most resilient luxury group in a years-long industry-wide slowdown, but even it was not immune to the conflict's impact. Its shares have dropped 24% so far this year. Luxury stocks have been increasingly volatile as hedge funds have ramped up bets in the sector. Though only accounting for 4.4% of sales, the Middle East was the fastest growing region for Hermès last year. But first quarter sales in the region fell 6% in currency adjusted terms to $188.59 million. The strength of the euro has also become a major headache for luxury firms. It took $342 million off Hermès revenue in the quarter, leading to a 1% drop in reported sales. The US was a bright spot though, with currency adjusted sales up 17.2%.
Kering CEO Luca Di Maio pledged to more than double profits on Thursday. He unveiled a turnaround strategy to restore financial health and boost the appeal of flagship brand Gucci. The Italian label accounted for around 60% of Kering's profits last year and was the company's big hitter until it stalled in 2023 as tastes shifted, and that dragged down the wider group's performance. The group said Thursday Gucci would improve its product quality and sharpen its regional sales strategy without giving financial targets for the brand. It also said it aims to double its jewellery business by 2023 to lower dependence on fashion cycles. As part of its turnaround, Kering said it would also aim to streamline aspects of the business into what it called hubs and would cut inventory, a drag on its profit and loss, by over $1.1 billion within 12 months. Doubling operating returns, which last year stood at 11%, would bring Kering closer in line with industry peers. 7 months into the job, Di Maio needs to reassure investors that his ambitious revamp won't be derailed by the Middle East conflict's fallout on luxury spending. Kering, as well as rivals LVMH and Hermès, said this week that the conflict significantly reduced sales in the Gulf region and had a broader impact. Thursday's update comes days after Kering said quarterly sales at Gucci continued their slide going into the year. It disappointed investors who wanted to see clear signs of improvement under a new designer and management structure.